Hey everyone, so welcome back to Hart Talks. Now, I've spoken a lot about how HIV affected me and, what I was going through with it. But I've made this video with some familiar faces that you will recognize from some of my previous videos, and just ask them some questions on how having a friend with HIV has been and how it affected them in their lives. I know I was affected greatly by it, but my friends were affected greatly by it too. And this video has been very powerful for me, to watch what's happened and what has been said, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hi everyone, it's Stephen's friend Emily here. I may have met a few of you before because I was in a video involving scones, jam, cream and cats.
Hi, I'm Jean.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn. I'm a friend of Stephen's. Some of you might remember me from doing a vlog with him at the beginning of the year for the show that I was in, Made in Dagenham. So let's get on with it.
Were you surprised how little you knew about HIV?
I wasn't surprised at how little I knew because I think it's just something that had not been a part of my life before. So there was really no that sounds really ignorant, but there was sort of no need for me to know about it. And I think, I grew up in a tiny little village in Gloucestershire and led a very sheltered life. So actually I'd never really come across it before meeting Stephen.
It was probably something I didn't really think about before. I kind of heard about it a lot in the 80s when it was a real horrific thing to happen and it was a death sentence. But yeah, I suppose I didn't know much at all really. I suppose I kind of thought I would never know anybody was HIV positive, so I didn't need to know much about it.
Yes, is the honest answer. I think it's something that I always thought I knew enough about, but I guess not until you're actually presented with someone who's been diagnosed with it do you actually think about it.
What's your advice to a person with a negative view of people with HIV?
The thing that I would say to them first and foremost is that you just have to see the person behind the illness. Just because that person has that illness, it doesn't define who they are. And I think, often people can get tarred with the same brush, and of course you have to look at every case individually. And, that person is still the same person they were, even if they've contracted this illness, and it doesn't change who they are. And I also think, there's a great fear, I guess, around HIV, and that just comes from not knowing enough about it, which I admit that I didn't really either. But at the same time, I don't think I ever felt great fear when Stephen told me. I've just kind of accepted it, and I've just seen how amazingly he has dealt with it along the way, and that's not that's made me feel kind of safe and secure about it, and I don't feel scared or worried. I just sort of with him take each day as it comes.
To get a grip, they need to be more open. They need to know that it's not going to harm them in any way. They just need to think about the person behind it.
To those people out there who are still pleading ignorant to it, do your homework. Read up on it. It's not what it used to be. Times have changed, medicine has moved on, research has moved on. It's not the disease that it used to be, but there are still so many misconceptions about this disease in this day and age, which today really still baffles me. It's the amount of people that are actually playing ignorant to the whole thing, blaming other people for contracting the disease when they got it through no fault of their own. The big one that I always think really is, oh, I could catch it if I hug somebody with HIV. No, you can't.
What were your initial thoughts when I told you I had HIV?
Yeah, I guess my initial reaction was like, oh my God, dreadful, terror. I remember very clearly when Stephen told me. It was when we were working in front of house at a theatre, and it was just in between a few shows, in between the matinee and the evening show, and he just kind of took me aside and told me what had happened. And I just remember very clearly, again, I didn't know very much about the illness, but you have that sort of view, oh my God, that's a death sentence, And because I didn't know anyone else who had it or was living with it, you just think, oh my God, that's the end. It's downhill from here. And actually that's not the case, and that's another thing I guess I've learned as well through Stephen, is that, yeah, you may contract that. You may contract HIV, but it's not that doesn't mean it's the end of your life.
My immediate thought was, well, that's it. He's probably just going to die anytime soon. But that was a long time ago, and you're still here, and you're doing all right.
Honestly, I thought we were going to lose you. Stephen has had an abundance of health issues over the years, and this on top of everything else. I still remember the day that he told us. He was up from London, our friend was over from America, and our other friend, Gary, we were all staying at my house. We'd been out doing our usual at TGI Fridays, and the next morning Stephen had to tell us this horrible story. And I still remember thinking it was like a bomb going off.
What have you learnt having someone with HIV in your life?
So I've learnt most about the human spirit, really, through this whole experience. I've also learnt, it's interesting to have kind of witnessed other people's relationships with Stephen and how they've changed, and some people have, come into his life and become very close to him, and then others who were very close to him, I think just couldn't really cope with the illness and, the thought that he had it and what that meant for his future. And that's been really interesting, just to see how different people cope in those situations, and what ways people use to sort of get through difficult times, and the fact that some people just can't do it and they have to walk away, and that some people are there, and they come open-armed and are so warm and so generous. And so yeah, it's I think most of all I've just learnt about the human fight, human kindness, human meanness. I think it's really taught me to be very kind of open and like matter of fact about things, I guess, in life, and as I said, like whatever life throws at you, I would try to be sort of calm and level-headed and open-minded about those things, because I've watched my friend Stephen just deal with so much, and he's just remained this like most beautiful person. And if he can do that, then I can deal with anything that life may throw at me. Yeah, it's a good lesson to have learned. Very good.
I don't know. It hasn't really made such a big difference to my life, because I just look at you as being Stephen, not Stephen who's got HIV.
Biggest thing that I've learned about this is that it's not a death sentence. It's more treatable and more manageable now than what it ever used to be. People are living longer with it now. Again, going back to the 80s and the 90s, when it was probably at its highest, and when it was rife, millions of people died from this horrible disease. But as I said before, times have changed and we've moved on, and we've learnt a lot from the 80s and the 90s. More research has been done into the disease, which is helping people survive longer today. People can go and live their lives, and I think Stephen is testament to that by doing that every single day. These blogs, for example, that he's doing, he's proven that you can live with it.
So I hope that you enjoyed watching that video as much as I enjoyed making it. It was very powerful and very strong for me, and I hope that if you are in a place where you don't know how to be with a friend who has disclosed their diagnosis, that this video might help. Please remember to share this video with your friends, like it, comments. Your comments are so important, so please keep commenting. I love to hear from you, and I will see you in another time. Be good. Thanks to Emily, to Jean and to Carolyn for taking part in this video. See you soon.